Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you another cast of some top pro gamer games from the ladder. This one, the player's a little bit less well known than what we've been doing recently. This guy in the bottom right, this is Carnage. He's very highly ranked, hasn't been in ASL yet, but you know, just one of those very high leveled Protoss players that's still looking to make it in. And then his opponent is actually why I'm casting this particular game. I like to get little status updates on this guy. He's one of the players I'm most interested in. This is Fleta. And if you don't recall, if you missed all my other Fleta casts, he is the only, as far as I know, the only Protoss player ever to switch to Terran at like a pro level. I've never seen it before. He won the high school league in Korea. As Protoss, he was definitely a Protoss main, having good results, and he decided to switch races. And that's just not something that we ever see. So every now and then, I like to get a little update on him, watch his games, see what he's playing like, and I think Terran vs Protoss is a perfect matchup to do that within. So very excited about Fleta and his possible future with the game. I think it'd be really cool to have a player that used to play Protoss doing very well with Terran. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. That's why we're watching this. Now, interesting build here from Carnage. He actually goes gas, then gate. And it's not so much about the gas being like 2 seconds quicker than the gateway. This is all about optimizations. He just used the same probe that was also going to go scout to build all 3 of these buildings right in a row. So that is a highly optimized build. I haven't actually seen this, so kind of cool to see. We are on Vermeer here, and Carnage looks like he wants to scout at least the center, but maybe cross map, which is a funny way to end up scouting. You can be very late to find your opponent sometimes. And yeah, with this SCV coming over, Fleta is going to be able to find Carnage first. Maybe by where the pylon is, you'll see the angle the SCV comes in. Like if you see the SCVs here rather than here, you know to scout to the south with your second one. But it comes in at such an angle. I think that's a little bit hard to call exactly where it came in like right about there. Funny pathing, but looks like, yeah, I think Carnage gonna scout in the wrong direction. So, you know, this is the problem with scouting cross spawns occasionally. You'll get caught with this where it's like, well, you're scouting your opponent so late you literally have no idea what he's doing. Could be just about anything. You have a command center up right now. So anyways, Carnage gonna go ahead and take his expansion. This is very, very, very fast. Before any Dragoons, any Zots, any range upgrade, or anything like that. So Fleta right now has 2 Marines. Starts a 3rd. I think he's actually gonna rush this. Oh, wow. He puts 2 more back on gas. Well, that's interesting. I was going to suggest if you pull like 4 SCVs and send your Marines and Vultures over and just kind of rally a little bit, like maybe 2 Vultures, 5, 6 Marines, generally you can force a cancel on this or even kill it, right, if they don't end up canceling it, because this is one of the greediest builds that Protoss has. It's so unit light. Like, look at this. First Dragoon is out at 3 minutes and 35 seconds. And, you know, 3 Marines actually beat a Dragoon. And as soon as you start adding units on top of that, it becomes extremely one-sided. The Dragoons really need to be in good numbers or have range to be able to counteract a push like that. But either way, he is getting that additional gas, continuing to build some depots here. Fleta going to get aggressive. And, you know, this is one of the things I really like to watch, right? From a player that has switched races. Like, you know, he used to play Protoss. He knows about all the different builds that open up against Protoss, and he's decided, you know what, I see that really fast expansion. I've done that before at a very high level, and what I don't want to play against is going to be an aggressive push, right? This is an FD Terran push, in fact. He's got a hell of a lot of gas there. 1 siege tank. We have 5 Marines left. He has made a total of 7 Marines so far. Going to bring an SCV, of course, as well. This SCV is still kind of running around being chased by a probe. And rallying out the Vultures now. You know, he's stopped mining gas and he does have 200 in the bank, but realistically, he's got to think about that command center, right? Like that's going to be the main thing that you really need to get down. Now, the thing that I am not a fan about Fleta's build here, because this took so long that range is about to be done. So it's going to be 4 Dragoons with range, which means one shot, like 1 volley on a Marine or 2 volleys on a tank to kill it. So that's like, ooh, that was actually a little bit sloppy there. He does get the tank. Now, this is not held yet, right? That's a huge mine hit. That mine hit incredibly important. Of course, he does have a shield battery here, so still grinding it down a little bit. Gonna go ahead, continue to utilize that shield battery, but the damage output is, in fact, pretty fast. Another vulture coming down. Can he prevent it from getting its mines down? Oh, might be... Yeah, I don't think he had enough health there to drag the mine into the Marines, but that actually would have been a good play, I think. The vulture is getting a lot of damage. Oh my god, Fleta just barely by the skin of his teeth going to end up doing a lot of damage. Oh my god. And 2 more go down. So this ends up being very effective by Fleta, but I have to be completely honest. And here's the thing. I like Fleta. I like to watch his games and stuff. That was not a very good rush. He got quite lucky there, right? Like, if there was a little bit more health on the dragon in the low ground, he could have dragged the mine. Just barely, everything got broken, and a ton of probes died there right at the very end of the rush when there was like 3 units left for Terran. So in another world, if we do this same exact game like 5 times, I bet you 3-4 of those times minimum, Carnage is going to be the one ahead after that rush. As is, that's not the case. The command center is going to be finishing up. We have an additional factory. We have the eBay. I like the follow-up and everything. But yeah, it definitely, Fleta does have a big advantage being up 7 workers right now. So yeah, not a fan of that one. You know, I guess we just keep on going forward and see what Fleta's gonna have for us coming up next. Armory on the way, so pretty standard follow-up here. You know, we see over in Carnage's base, he is going into 2-gate observer, which is just pretty solid. He's going to want to make sure that he is never missing a single probe. It looks like Reaver Tech going to be coming up next as well. And that Reaver Tech is going to be something that not only forces a good amount of turrets, but can slow down any incoming pushes. Because honestly, after you do that much damage, it's not a bad move for Terran to try to attack again. Like, I think if you do that many kills, going up to like 5 factories, 4 factories, 5 factories, something like that, and doing a massive push out can be an excellent follow-up. Not everyone likes to do that, but I think we'll see Fleta do that. I think Fleta is, in general, kind of an aggressive Terran player, as we just saw there with the openings at least. Which, again, would make sense. It's like, what style are you going to see brought out of a Protoss player? It's probably going to be one of heavier aggression in the matchup. Now, everything looking solid at Fleta's base. Over here, of course, we have the shuttle speed on the way, Reaver being made, the shuttle just kind of scouting over, not really doing much. I think that might have been, in fact, even the rally of the observer that it was following, and then he just pulls it back. It's not really a big deal. I mean, if you fly over something where Terran can see the shuttle, that gives them ample time to prepare for it completely, right? You see a shuttle, you know it's Reaver. As simple as that. Like, I guess technically it could be something else, but you just assume that it's going to be Reaver at that point. Just about everyone goes Reaver in the current metagame. Fleta right now on 2 factories, both with add-ons, getting that speed upgrade for his vultures. Academy on the way, so very, like, patient, nice play here from Fleta. Gets his starport going. That's to support the +1 attack, getting almost halfway done. Maybe a little bit early. Honestly, he could have gone 3rd factory and a little bit later on the starport, but it's totally fine. Wants to continue those upgrades forward. Carnage over here has done a pretty good job of recovering his probe count. He has his 3rd nexus that has been started. Gets that full wall off with the pylons, so no Terran units can really get through there. And, you know, just clearing out a little bit of what's in the center. He wants to make the map a little bit darker here for Fleta. You know, this tiny group of Dragoons, so you do have to be a little bit careful, right? As the worker or the unit count goes up for Fleta, like, let's say that he hadn't gone 2nd add-on and he had made vultures nonstop. Like, he'd have enough vultures to easily kill these 3 Dragoons, right? In this case, no, not quite, but definitely just something to keep in mind there with him wandering around a little bit like that. Now, the command center is coming up. Oh, wow. Off 3 facts right there. Okay, I'm digging it. But when we see the command center start, what this signals is that Carnage is going to basically be back in the game. There's no punishment coming. Obviously, he had to make a fair amount of units. He went into multiple Reavers and everything. He's had to make all these probes again, so his macro's not that quick. But Fleta doesn't have any sort of killing blow prepared. And like I mentioned, You know, I think a lot of people would like to do the killing blow there, but it's not actually something that's mandatory. In fact, I would even say I don't think it's been figured out what the best course of action is at this point. StarCraft is still so... It's just so wide open on the various things that you can end up doing. So we'll see if he's going to end up paying for that. Does Carnage come all the way back into the game? Certainly, his supply is going to start jumping up as he does have 6 gates right now, and he continues to produce out of that robotics. We have the Forge and Citadel coming up as well. Just a little bit of skirmishing going on, right? We saw the Reaver drop coming. That didn't really do anything. That's fine. A few Dragoons running around, a few Vultures running around the map. You know, they're scouting. They're trying to figure out, okay, where's everything at in this game? You know, do you have any bases that, like, you're trying to hide, anything like that? And Fleta just continues to macro up. And, you know, he's done a pretty good job of this. He's had a better worker count for the majority of this game. He's got 2-1 on the way. He's got a very healthy siege tank count. And honestly, like, well, the army is starting to get a little bit bigger here from Carnage, but not big enough to really be scary right now. So a couple Dragoons do get splattered as he flies out with his command center to take that third. The single Wraith that he made coming out to make sure that the Reavers can't just drop and sit there for free. Of course, a Wraith won't kill the shuttle too quickly. He'll definitely be able to do a little bit of micro with it, even if he commits. Up to a good 5 factories with some more starting up here for Fleta. Little pullback here as well. Double speed shuttle. Some more Zealots coming up. Zealot legs, not really that far along. Very important upgrade. We can't really see an attack till that's set. Second Forge coming as well, so Carnage wants to start catching up on those upgrades. Now, here's the thing for Carnage, okay? He's got a couple choices here. Does he spend every dime he has on macroing up? Well, he's already answered this for us. He is going to try for a bust here. He does not have Zealot legs yet. Does just kind of fly in, drops a couple Reavers over here. These are actually excellent Reavers. Ends up killing a siege tank right there, but overall the bust, a little bit weak, honestly. Now I was going to ask, it's like he sees Fleta going up to the third base. Are you going to, you know, try to mass up and attack that, or are you going to do something like a double expansion, you know, that type of move? Unfortunately here for Carnage, he's further behind now than he was a moment ago before that attack. Obviously, that was kind of a poor attack. He killed some siege tanks, so at least that's something, but Fleta staying strong. You know, I think in general, in games like this, where Protoss doesn't get to do what they want with their economy, if the Terran is good, you generally can't bust them, right? Because the busts are very tight attacks that occur when Protoss is macroed up quickly. And in general, Protoss can't really macro up quickly. Like, for instance, if they took that amount of worker damage early and Terran didn't really take it, right? So as long as Terran is consistently macroing, they should have enough units. And that's kind of what you saw there. So I think, you know, it's going Speed Reaver into a 3-base attack is an incredibly powerful way to play. In fact, it's one of the most popular ways to play right now. But I think for this particular situation, this was not the right move for Carnage. And it's not just I think that, it definitely wasn't, just to be completely clear here. Anyways, Carnage is going to take an additional base. This little pocketed base is very close by. So if Fleta pushes, this could be a problem. But he is getting Psystorm. So Psystorm is a great comeback mechanic here for Protoss. You know, Terran gets ahead, wants to attack, wants to finish you off. Look, he's got 2-1 upgrades. You might attack with all your units at once into Protoss, right? As opposed to like a push where you're leapfrogging tanks, spreading them out. If you just take all of your units in attack move, that's where Psystorm can start to really dismantle you and your army. So that, I would say, is how Carnage is going to need to come back into this game, because as you can see, they're at even army supply with slightly better workers for Fleta. Obviously, an additional base just went up for Carnage, so his mining is a little bit better despite being slightly down in workers. You know, the 60s is playable as far as probes go. But you know, it's not a great economy, that's for sure. Now some vultures running around. You know, he saw an attempted expansion up here with that probe, and that is something, if you can slow that down at all, really works well for Terran. Protoss really, once again, doesn't want to be stifled. They want to get their bases up exactly when they want to get them up. It's normally not reactive from Protoss, it's active from Protoss, right? Like normally they get to expand exactly when they want. They have a plan. They kind of go do it. But, you know, on these aggressive type of games, that's not going to be the case. And that's something that feels like Carnage is having a little bit of a hard time with. Now, that being said, we're getting right up to max, right? So we're getting very, very close to max supplies. There is a 4th command center up. This is like an important thing I was just coming over to check. You need to make sure that you have your 4th ready to go. But Fleta is basically maxed out now. So we're going to see him try to push up. He's got over 100 army supply. So it is going to be really scary with these 2-1 upgrades. +3 attack is on the way, although he has skipped out on +2 armor, which is okay. You can do that if you're a little bit low. The armor upgrade not nearly as powerful. And yeah, Reaver going to pick off a couple units here. 2 High Templars in there. Mostly Zealots and Reavers in these shuttles. Ooh, loses that one with the hurt Reaver in it. Not the end of the world, but now Carnage going to come ahead and try to do a bust here. Let's see if he can get it off. He drops out a lot of Zealots here. And there's the Psystorms. Let's see what he gets. Ooh, those are some reasonable Psystorms there, but I don't think Carnage has a big enough army to continue the punish. Look at how many red tanks we have in here. It's actually a lot, right? So we have like 3... and then like another 4, well, 3. Okay, so there's like 6 tanks that are on the brink of death, like a Zealot would kill them. And if you take 6 tanks out of this army, it is a lot weaker. So definitely Carnage did some damage there, but you need enough to not just deal the damage, but to finish those tanks off as well. Good pullback here from Carnage, barely losing anything. Continuing to macro out of those gateways. And... well, this push is looking a little bit scary, but I need to mention it's light on vultures, right? We only have a few vultures in here. If we have a couple big rounds of Zealots come out, that could be hard for this mostly siege tank composition to end up holding. Now, he moves into position, and this group of tanks beautifully placed. This group, not so much. It'll hit units up to about here. So, like, if he could move these tanks forward, that would help immensely. Carnage spreading out a little bit. You know, this is why we were talking about this base location being kind of a risky one before, by the way. You can see he's already had to evacuate the probes from it. Hopefully Carnage can get another base up pretty soon. Looks like he will be setting one up here at the natural in the top right. Ooh, a good attempt on that snipe. Doesn't quite get it. Gets him down pretty low to 3 health. Does use that shield battery to heal back up there. That would have been a huge kill. 4 High Templars were in that shuttle. Another shuttle coming out. Mostly army elsewhere here for Carnage. Looks like he's trying to run around and do something else. He does have slightly higher army supply right now. He does have 2-1 upgrades, which are pretty decent. But this is 3-1 upgrades from Terran. He's killed a base. He's continuing to push forward. But once again, not a lot of vultures in here. This part of the attack is actually, this is poorly thought out. This is like where you actually could end up blundering this game. And he does run some Zealots up, but doesn't quite have enough. The Dragoons are coming for a flank, but maybe too little too late. More Zealots being dropped out. High Templars coming down and throwing down their storms as well. And I think with the Dragoon flank, we should have these siege tanks cleaned up, but this still feels winning for Fleta. Fleta right now coming in with an additional push, kind of going towards this Dragoon group that is going to be rejoined with the rest of the Protoss army. Has a couple of shuttles in there. Looks like he definitely has some Psystorms for the next engagement. But yeah, the push itself it's a little bit too strong, I think. You know, he's up 12 workers, so you take away 12 from that. It's like, okay, he's up about 7-8 army supply. But when you start looking at these upgrades like 3-1, you know, he's got some vessels in there. We don't see like a lot of mine laying right this second. And we do have Psystorm for Protoss, but normally you got to be on more bases. But Fleta doing a good job keeping that pressure on, which can be hard against these Psystorm-based compositions. Carnage coming back down. Very hard position at the moment. Storm some, that's kind of a cute move. You don't see that enough. Storming mines. It can be reasonable in certain situations. Think about it, right? Like you can clear minefields without losing a unit, just utilizing some spells. Definitely, I think that was a cool one because mines popped up to hit his Dragoon and kind of, you know, the idea is you save it. I don't think that particular storm did that, but, you know, you're never going to get a storm to do everything you want every game. Anyways, here comes an attack here from Carnage. He has a lot of Zealots. Excuse me. But they are mostly clumping up here. He's having a hard time getting in on top of this army. And it looks to me like Carnage is going to end up dying here. Fleta putting out a pretty strong Terran game. Like, there definitely were pieces I was not a huge fan of from him. You know, I think the opening push got a little bit lucky there. And he did end up finishing him, but like there were moments where he was so light on vultures that it did seem a little bit scary. It's hard to keep track of exactly what your opponent has. And I feel like things could have gone more poorly for him. But overall, a great job here. Great to watch some of these up-and-coming players grow. And GG is called Fleta takes down Carnage.